Shakha,
Hi.
I spell your name wrong always. Will
Oh,
you
that's
spell it
okay.
for me?
It's Shakha.
Uh-oh, this pen doesn't work. Shaka. Why do I? That's it?
K-H-A. You have to add an H.
Kha. Okay, and I always want to spell it Shakah.
Well, so that extra
But I don't know
H.
how to spell, so.
No, my dad at one point told me I say my own name wrong, but it's in Indian, in Gujarati. There's two letters. There's one that's a K and then one that's a KH, and so that's what it is. It's still Shaka. I don't actually care.
You're a pediatrician.
Yes,
How long have you done that?
20 years.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So I went to college 1990 to 93. I went to UCSD.
Did you graduate from high school in 90?
I graduated from high school in 90. Did you?
Oh, me too. Yeah.
I'm 47. How old are you?
I'm 48. I look so much older than you. Did you skip a grade?
No. I mean,
Okay.
I was only 17 when I graduated, but I didn't skip a grade. I look way older. I do. I
You
think,
look young as shit. You look like a young Indian girl.
see, it's, and I don't Botox, even though, like, you've seen my twin, and, she's a dermatologist, and I think everyone thinks I'm nuts, but I actually like looking older now.
You
I like
don't
it.
have any signs of North County, San Diego.
Yeah, right, totally.
Code Botox. You look great.
I don't have either of those, right?
No.
So 94 to 98, I went to UCSD for med school. So I did med school for undergrad, UCSD for undergrad, UCSD for med school. Did my residency, then did a chief year, and then started working in private practice in 2001.
And are babies your specialty, or do you take them all the way to how old?
I take them to 18,
Okay.
but I actually have a lot of kids that I continue to take care of afterwards because they go off to college and then we still want to see them and they still want to see us. It's nice. Like, we love them.
So have you had clients for 20 years? Do you know someone from 1 to 21?
Yeah. I have grandkids too. Like, I've have kids that I've known and they've had kids. It's awesome. I know, right? It's really lucky. It's like super lucky, and it's a long relationship, and they don't always love me, and sometimes I'm mad at them, and that's okay.
You know, one of the weirdest things to hear as a parent, and you have a child too. You have a boy, right? He's 15?
15. I have a 15-year-old son.
When you're just minding your own business, maybe you're sitting on the toilet looking at your Instagram, and the other parent says, "Where's so-and-so?" Like, I just now this morning, I heard my wife asking one of my other kids, "Where's this kid?" And just that you just feel your heart just like drop. Like, wait, someone doesn't know where. I mean, even though the whole time I don't know where my kids are, but as soon as you hear that, "Where's this kid?" And you're just like, "Uh-oh," and I immediately jump up and start searching for him. It's weird.
Totally. Once you have kids, you're like never really off. But I'll tell you, once they turn about like 11, 12, Taj now, he's 15, and I can go the entire day and have no clue what he did. They're just become completely independent. Like, it's pretty
Wow.
crazy. Yeah.
Why aren't kids getting COVID? Or let me rephrase that. Why is it so few kids are getting COVID? Why is it just like minuscule amounts?
I think there's a lot to it. The kids are getting COVID. They are. I don't know.
But just so you would say when they're getting it, like I just saw a statistic yesterday. It was 22,360 people who, God, were they hospitalized or did they have COVID? I want to say that they had COVID. I'm trying to remember which country it was, but only 10 of them were between the age of 0 and 19. Sorry, it was It was deaths. It was deaths in a country. I think it was the UK. 23,600 deaths, and 10 of them were for kids between the age of 0 and 19. So I'm sorry. I asked the question wrong. They're getting the COVID. Sorry. Why aren't the kids dying from it? Why are the numbers so freaking small? 10 out of 24,000.
Yes. Okay. So the two parts to that. One is, are they getting COVID? The verdict's still out, but I'll tell you, as a pediatrician, I think that they're getting COVID. I think that their symptoms are just mild. Why are they not dying from COVID? And so you're absolutely right. I mean, there's been sprinkling of cases that are more severe with kids with COVID, but other than maybe a dozen kids who were more severe in the entire world, we're not seeing any significant deaths from COVID in kids. And I think it's because COVID is specifically, the severity is with people with chronic disease. So it's the diabetics, it's the heart disease. There recently has been some discussion about the vasculitis and inflammation, and so the vascular inflammation. And so we are seeing some kids with a little bit of vascular inflammation, but you take somebody who is, 40, 50 and has diabetes or heart disease, or you take somebody 80 who maybe has mild but has had it for a long time, chronic disease, they're much more susceptible to die than a 5-year-old who is been pretty healthy all their lives.
So what you're saying is someone between the age of 0 and 19 hasn't been on the planet long enough to damage themselves enough to make them susceptible for COVID to push them off the cliff into death.
I would totally think that. I totally think that.
What is chronic disease? Okay, sorry, answer that. Go ahead, finish.
For kids, there's like this idea, we don't know 100%. There's this idea behind perhaps they don't have the receptors. And there is that science, there's these, angiotensin receptors that perhaps they don't have, which may be part of it. We see that with strep, strep pharyngitis. We see kids less than 3 usually don't get it. But overall for kids overall are still getting it, just like strep. Strep, you usually don't get it in less than 3. I see 9-month-olds with it. So every kid's not the same. And so kids are getting it. I'll tell you, we've seen kids with it. They're just getting it mild. And which is, I'm just going to make a comment. I know you didn't ask this, but it's one of the reasons why when you talk about how bad these viruses are and shutting down economies and shutting down actual other healthcare, all of that, this one's not hitting the kids. I mean, thank God we can all go to bed and know that our kids are okay.
I think I could Google right now. I could make up like just really obscure shit, like kids that died from swallowing batteries. And I could find, or kids who tripped and fell downstairs.
More.
Or kids that choked on a seatbelt in their baby seat. I would bet that I could find more kids who die from accidents with their baby seat than COVID deaths. I mean, I don't know that. I haven't looked. But there's all sorts of freakish. I mean, I Googled recently, 12,000 people die a year from falling down the stairs.
Totally.
In the United States.
You can probably get more like selfie deaths, death by selfie with children than you would with COVID.
What's selfie death? What's that mean?
Death by, like, you're taking your own selfie and you die because a bear is behind you.
Oh yeah, right. Or you step off a cliff, or fall down some stairs, or like the people who've done the selfie with the handgun and they accidentally shoot themselves.
Yeah, like that's gonna be me on a cliff, by the way, because I'm so bad I can't even get the right button.
Fall into the Grand Canyon as you're taking your selfie.
Yeah, totally. Okay, then you were going to ask me about the chronic disease, and I just cut you off. Sorry.
So what is chronic disease?
That's there's so many ways to answer that. But
wait, sorry. Let me ask you one more question first. So comorbidity is when there's multiple reasons why someone died, and underlying conditions is just if you have you're alive. It's a comorbidity, but you're alive, right? You get what I'm saying? Comorbidity is a term you only use for dead people.
Yeah.
And underlying conditions is you can use it for dead people or alive people.
Yeah, it's basically the same stuff. This is all like...
But they all refer to chronic diseases. Is that true?
Yes, chronic diseases. Well, comorbidities, you could consider like smoking a comorbidity, but it's not really a chronic disease.
Okay.
But it's kind of just the way we talk about it, right?
But smoking does cause chronic disease. The actual act of smoking isn't a chronic disease.
Totally. So it's just the way, like the words we use, right? So at the end of the day, chronic diseases are diseases that are considered for a prolonged period. The word chronic, right? So it's greater than 3 months. So you have it for longer than 3 months. And I think, like, the way I like to describe it is it's this self-inflicted inflammation that occurs from, and I say self-inflicted because it's due to choices. So it's not an accident. It's not an ingestion, right? So, I mean, I think that.
Give me an example. What do you mean self-inflicted? Like I drink too much soda? I drink a Coke and M&Ms every morning at lunchtime? Is that bad?
No, that's actually chronic disease.
That's what I mean. When you say
Yeah,
self-inflicted, what do you mean?
yeah. So yeah, self-inflicted, exactly. So by diet and exercise choices, diet and exercise, smoking. Yes, I'm sorry, I lost the track on that. Yes, absolutely. Versus an infection, which again, we've all heard that amazing, the 5 buckets of death, which is just fantastic. But it's like basically not so the chronic disease is not something you're born with. So if you're born with, not 4 chambers of your heart, so you have a congenital heart defect, right?
Okay.
Or if you have, an infection, and the infection can cross over now, as we've seen with COVID, and we see with influenza, with so many other viruses and infections, that when you have chronic disease, you're just much more susceptible to infections.
Okay. Let me go through some of these things that I keep seeing in the paper over and over and see if these are chronic diseases. These are comorbidities. So every day I see that it seems like the lowest I've seen now is 88% of the deaths in COVID have comorbidities, but I've seen as high as 99%. And I feel more confident. It feels like when I investigate people who died who were seemingly healthy, they all seem to be obese just from pictures I've seen.
Totally.
But,
and the more numbers are more like the 95 to 99%.
okay.
95 to 99%. And there is something interesting that I do understand, is that a lot of times they won't give the comorbid, they won't say anything. And so I think the reporters will report that as healthy, otherwise healthy individual. And it's not that they were healthy, it's that they weren't able to list their medical history because of privacy regulations. And so just because something's not given to the media, it doesn't mean that it wasn't there. And right.
Well, yeah, that and some of the negligent reporting. So the lady who died, the first lady who died in Santa Clara County, she's the first death in the United States on February 6th. I forget her name. But the report from CNN is that she died seemingly healthy.
And I remember her picture.
And she was 57 years old. And they posted a little tiny headshot of her. And the headshot of her, she looked great. She didn't even look 57. She looked like she was 37. Well, then I searched her name on the internet and I found a more recent picture of her. And she was easily 60 pounds overweight. And she clearly had health issues. She was one of those women that had arms bigger than my thigh.
Totally. And it's unfortunate.
Right.
It's unfortunate.
But I just need the reporting to be accurate. So basically what I'm trying to figure out is this hypertension, diabetes, obesity. What are these things and why are all the people dying why do they have these things? And why? And what confuses it more is they keep saying Black people, men, and elderly are more susceptible. And they're adding these 3 factors in. And that makes it more confusing for me too, because the real number I want to look at is this big one, this 95% of comorbidity. I don't think it has anything to do with, I don't think this virus is like, oh, there's a black man who's 65. Let's get him.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not smart, right? It doesn't have this virus just it's equal opportunity, right?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
Except for maybe kids, except for maybe babies. The verdict's still out. There might be
equal opportunity. It's not like,
okay.
Gosh, the babies are so cute. Let's not. That's
all
me,
right.
right?
And so what are and are these things? Can we just go through some of these? Like, what is hypertension?
High blood pressure. But I think it's high blood pressure. And so what happens with your high blood pressure is that, depending on what's causing it, and the majority of times it's actually it's being caused by dietary choices. And
like, what gives you high blood pressure if you eat it?
Well, okay, so it's the traditional thought, the old-fashioned medical thought was it was salt. And I don't think that. I think it's sugar and inflammation that goes towards creating a high insulin response. And the insulin response will go, and to all end organs or wherever it goes, it will cause damage to everywhere it affects. And so that's going to cause the diabetes, which is when your blood sugar is high. Okay. And then hypertension is when your the pressure in your bloodstream is high, and then your body has compensatory mechanisms that it has keep to keep all of your system working right. So if your blood pressure is high, I'm trying to think of how to describe it. Like, bottom line is, if your blood pressure is high, your heart has to work harder. Okay,
Right.
your heart's pumping against something that has a higher pressure, and so your body's working harder. I think you said that, and then you gave me something else. Obesity.
Obesity.
Obesity is just the obvious. It's
Uh-oh.
interesting.
Uh-oh.
Mm,
Careful. It's not
I
for
know.
some, it's not
It's a,
obvious to anyone.
but now obesity is like a rash where you can't hide it, right?
Right,
Um,
but I don't think people know. I think a lot of people don't even know why they're obese. Like they
right.
just think like either
I'm
they're
gonna
in
go on.
denial or they think that they just eat too much, or they're
Oh,
like, "Hey man, I haven't eaten I only drink 3 Cokes a day and only have a pound of M&Ms. Why am I fat?"
totally. It's not rocket science. It's not
Or
rocket science. Do you remember when there was like everybody was looking for like the leptin? What's causing you to be obese? And it's not that the thyroid. Is it my
leptin
thyroid?
is what regulates when you're hungry or not hungry, right?
Yeah, but it's
Okay.
not related to any of that. We're all
Okay.
hungry when we see junk food. I
Right.
mean, it's pretty rare that you go past a donut and smell it. Actually, there's psychological changes that happen. So the psychology to the physiologic changes that happen to your body. So there's when you smell food, your hormones release all sorts of things in your body to make you want to eat. Have you ever noticed that you're not hungry and then you go by
Yes.
and you
Walking
smell
through the
bacon?
kitchen's crazy. Yeah,
Right.
anytime I walk through my kitchen, I have to like hold my hands by my side. Serious, because
And
I cannot even be hungry at all and just walk by a jar of like macadamia nuts and like a handful of them's got to go down.
exactly. And so there's nothing special in your body. The people come to me and say, I think my child is sugar sensitive. No, your child is not sugar sensitive. Everybody's sugar sensitive. And I understand. They ask me this because, they have 2 or 3 kids, and one kid will eat more sugar than the others. And that's fine. I think that's more behavioral, but it's not that one kid is more sugar sensitive. We're all sensitive to sugar. Sugar is toxic to all of us. And so in time, I'm not going to even go over the whole thing, because literally it's like chapters and chapters and chapters of, we could like talk for 2 days about the the biology and the chemistry behind why sugar will then eventually lead to hypertension, diabetes. But I just think it's important to know that it does.
It
Sugar.
so and this is what I've been programmed by being in the CrossFit cult, but is to avoid sugar. And
Yes.
that's what I've been
Yeah.
telling people. Like if I ate if so basically we went through hypertension, sugar related, diabetes, sugar related,
Yep.
obesity, sugar related, high blood pressure, sugar related. And these seem to be all wrapped up in the comorbidities. Matter of fact, people are having multiple of these. Like,
Yeah.
what was it in I don't remember if it was China or Italy, 47% of the people had 3 comorbidities, which makes sense,
Right.
right? If you're obese, there's a good chance you have type 2 diabetes and you have hypertension, right?
Yeah, and then I want to mention on the diabetes that 50% of people have diabetes or prediabetes. The majority of people don't know it. And so why? Why do the majority of people don't know they have prediabetes or diabetes? Because our norm is to have so much sugar that we think we're okay. Okay. And also, if you eat a ton of sugar and then you exercise and you work it off, you actually don't have to be obese, but you could be pre-diabetic or diabetic. Does that make sense? The
Yeah,
majority are
totally.
actually normal weight. So the
Well, that,
obesity is helpful to recognize. You're like, whoa, there's a problem. But if you look like somebody like me, I also could be pre-diabetic and never have known it, because I could just eat a ton of sugar and work out and think I look
I know
okay.
you're a
And
doctor.
hmm,
No, it's okay. It's okay. We have an unstable connection. That's my fault. I need to hook this computer up to an Ethernet. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now.
I know you're a doctor, and I'm putting you on the spot by asking you to speculate what the media is doing. We see all the comorbidities. We see all the underlying conditions. The media is not hiding that, but it is just always a footnote. It's not very often in the title of the article. We're getting tons of advice on flattening the curve, how to wear your masks, the importance of quarantining. We're seeing all these people doing the virtue signaling through their social media. They're doing their part. when to me, there really should only be one message. And I actually heard Charles Barkley say it on CNN. It's time for personal responsibility. It's time to buy an assault bike, stop your drinking to only during the weekends, and completely cut out refined carbohydrates and sugar if you actually want to survive this thing. If you're taking the fucking COVID seriously, fuck your mask. I mean, that's my opinion. Like, well, why isn't the media saying that? Why don't they just, I mean, or am I just totally lost my mind?
No, I actually love Charles Barkley, by the way. I think he's really smart. Um, so take personal responsibility. I completely agree. Why is the media not emphasizing health in a health crisis? I don't know.
More specifically than health, like I don't want to hear about hydroxychloroquine. I want to hear about fucking get off the sugar. Like, why are people
Yeah.
trying? Why is someone like waiting for a vaccine, waiting for the drug when all they have to do? I'm pretty sure that you could have this amazing transformation in 21 days. I'm pretty sure you could just stop eating sugar and refined carbohydrates, get all the carbohydrates you want from green vegetables. Or if you're in a food drought, because I know that's the excuse people like to do, stop eating both pieces of bread on your sandwich. I mean, really take the refined carbohydrate sugar thing seriously. And I think in 3 weeks, you should have an immune system that makes it so we won't be reading about you in the paper. I mean,
Totally.
this is going off of what the media is telling me, but yet no one's saying that yet. It seems so obvious.
Well, I'm going to be like not so. I think that's a huge part of it. But I'm going to go like a little bit broader. I think that number one, the media should be talking about that, right? But why are they not talking about it? So yes, eating right and exercising have to be, and then getting proper sleep is extremely important, right? That's going to keep you from being another statistic, which most of the people who are listening and most CrossFitters already know that, right? They
Right.
know that the key to them is to keep doing it during quarantine. It's not like, oh, I can't get out. I was told I can't get out. Well, first of all, everybody in the US, I think, can get out. So you got to just figure it out, modify, do something, but you got to exercise. I would say it's like time to not exercise once a day, but to exercise 2 or 3 times a day.
But Shaka, and please push back. The truth is the diet will get you to the 90-yard line, won't it?
100%. 100%.
Just stop and
yeah,
just stop eating the sugar and stop.
100%.
And you know what's even better? You're not only helping yourself, you're helping all of civilization. You're
Yes.
actually, all these people who are saying, oh, I want to help my local physicians and doctors, and you're not doing your part if you don't stay quarantined. No, that's actually not true. You're not doing your part if you're eating refined carbohydrates.
100%. 100%. But here's why the media is not saying.
Thank you. This interview is over.
The conversation's over. 100%. No, but why is the media not saying it? Why is Baskin Robbins open while gyms are closed?
Yes.
That's not, it's because it goes down to the same one thing, is none of this has been based on science. There's no science behind why the florist is going to be opening up on Friday, but the CrossFit's not. There's no science behind that. Okay. There's no science behind why daycares have actually been open the whole time, up to 10 kids, and yet gyms have not. Right? There's so
hospitals celebrating the 150 cases of candy Hershey chocolate sent them.
That's just embarrassing.
And
That's
pictures
totally
of the admin standing in front of 4 pallets of fucking candy.
But I'll go more with Charles Barkley than I will with it's not just the sugar. We do also have to be responsible, because we actually and I'm going to say this with COVID like I do every year with influenza and RSV. For me, influenza and RSV are a big deal because I take care of kids. And I have
What's RSV?
RSV is respiratory syncytial virus. It's a virus that can give adults a cold, but little babies can die from it. And I have seriously sick babies every winter with this, and people walk around with the worst hygiene I've ever seen. They have colds and they touch babies, and they make my baby sick. Bottom line is they make my baby sick. So would it be wonderful is if everybody could be eating perfectly and we don't have any viruses around? Awesome, but that's not the case. So we do have viruses around. We do have COVID around, and someone is going to visit their grandparents or the parents. And so, yes, would it be nice to eliminate the deaths by getting those grandparents off the sugar? Yes. But in the meantime, I'm going to also say that we have to be responsible with hygiene. if you're sick, you can't go visit your grandparents in a nursing home. So I do believe that has to be part of the message. The problem is they've totally gotten rid of them. They're not even addressing the message of be healthy when they're putting gyms and boutique exercise studios, boxes, whatever you want to call it, when they're putting them in the same category as nail salons. I feel like it's insulting. And movie theaters, it's insulting. They've eliminated it as a part of health, and they put it into like something of pleasure.
Right. I don't think there's a better time ever than to just completely vilify sugar. I hear what you're saying.
I know.
It's important to wash your hands, but and I know I've said it 5 times, I'm a broken record, but how does anyone have an opinion on anything if if you could only do one thing, wear masks and have hand sanitizer or not eat sugar, which would you choose?
Me?
To protect yourself from the COVID. Yeah. There was only one of the, if you had to be okay, I can, with a wave of a wand, I can lower my blood sugar level to the perfect number, or I could have all the masks and hand sanitizer I want. What would you do?
That's not a good option. I would say eliminate all the sugar, eliminate the sugar, and stay away from sick people. Those are the 2 I would choose. I don't think that the mask and the hand sanitizer. Now, would I go to a medical facility with no soap? No, I don't want to go to a hospital with no soap.
Right.
As a doctor, do you want me walking? I haven't eaten any sugar, so I'm going to come take care of you without washing my hands. No, I want both. I don't have to have one or the other. I'm going to have both. I'm going to have hygiene and get off the sugar.
You don't like my question. You don't like my question. That's what I hear you saying. You don't like my question.
No, but what you're getting to is absolutely the sugars causing the severity and the mortality in this virus. 100%.
People ask me, not as often as they ask you, probably only once a day for me, what's your plan for your fitness for your kids? They always ask me. And I always, I don't really have a plan. I'm just kind of winging this. And since I work for CrossFit, it's pretty easy to wing because it's in my face all the time, healthy people and movement and being creative around human movement. But I tell people who have babies, in my opinion, and this is based in no science, that the holy grail of fitness is crawling. And that I would encourage you never, ever, ever to encourage your kids to walk. I wouldn't keep those things in those houses that the kids stand up and push. I wouldn't put your fingers out and let them walk. I wouldn't do any of that shit. And I would never put socks on them either because and I would never put those onesies on them that cover their feet. And I just want my kid, his walking should take, because once he walks, that's it. You're done crawling.
Why do you say that? Because I love what you're saying, but why do you think crawling is so important? I want to know why you say that.
Because it's so physical. Because now, when you go to your CrossFit gym and they're like, okay, we're gonna warm up with bear crawls. I'm like, fuck me. You know what I mean? But I always feel so good. My shoulders feel great. My hips feel great. My legs feel great. My brain feels great. I come to the present when I have to go on all fours, instantaneously, right? There's all that, the left side and right side, all that shit that the psychologists love to talk about.
Well, that's it. So if you look at what babies do when they crawl, and then you also threw in there not wearing socks, a lot of that is sensory input. And so what we'll see with kids is even right now, when you have older kids who aren't quite having the same social interactions and they're having difficulties with their sensory input, if you get them to go back and crawl, a lot of it improves. Wow. With them crawling. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, how old kids are you talking about? 5-year-olds, 10 years old? 14?
Yeah, there's actually different schools of thought on it that the crawling is really it's during a pivotal time of development for sensory input. So, and it makes sense, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you're crawling.
Yes.
It's motor, but it's also they're touching things, they're feeling things, they're having, like you said, the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain, and it's all being integrated. And so it's fascinating because I always was taught when I did pediatrics, a million years ago, is that kids don't have to crawl. But throughout my practice,
Who taught you that? That was like something taught in school?
yeah, yeah, it
Okay.
doesn't matter. They're fine. If they don't crawl, it's okay. Because sometimes kids will go straight from sitting to standing to walking. They start cruising the furniture. But I'll tell you from my experience, it's been, and now we've just seen so much more of it with, an explosion of sensory resources. We have seen so that, yes, kids can go straight from the standing to cruising furniture, but those that crawl really get that part of the development where they have all of that sensory input. I think it's great.
Yeah, and it's funny. I always took it to I worried less about the mental than the physical. I just thought, hey, and that maybe that's just because the CrossFitter in me. But you're right. It's crazy sensory. But the reason why I didn't put the socks on them is because I wanted them to be able to use their toes and their
Yeah.
feet, and I
But what
didn't
does
want.
that mean? That means they have to feel it. They
Right,
they know what things feel, right? And then
right.
they use it because they grip with it. Um, I love what you're doing with the kids. I love, not only are you just letting them move around all day. So when you talk about what do we recommend for the kids, just move. How about this? Just get up and do something. But what I love is that what you're doing with your posting is you're really encouraging others to get that idea and to just let their kids. It's just such a great influence. I
How
love.
come I don't even have 9,000 followers? I want 9 million followers and Red Bull to offer me a contract. And what the fuck
I
is
think
going
it's a
on?
thing now. Is like if you're authentic and you're doing something real, that you have less followers, as
Right.
because right, like if
I
you
guess.
you can just tag things. If you spend your whole time I think like tagging and things like that, then you just get a ton of followers. And then I'd rather you just post whatever you want, and then just organically, authentically get the followers that get it.
So my only thing around posting is I just want to post every day. So I just want to like make sure, and for two reasons. One, because I just want the followers to be, get their fix, but I guess also because it's kind of my scrapbook, right?
Yeah.
And I love making
Cool.
videos.
Well, I love it. I love what you're doing with the kids.
Thank you.
What they're doing.
The other thing is falling. So one day I tried to count how many times my kids fall, and like I was like it was like by 11 a.m. and each of them had gone like over 200 falls, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And the thing with falling is that every time they fall, they have to stand up.
Hmm.
And so if you let your kid fall 500 times a day, he has to stand 500 times a day. Now just and that's happening just on an average day for 3 years straight. So 500 falls a day, that's 15,000 times. No, is that 150,000 times? What's 15 times 300? Is that 150,000?
No. 15, add two zeros to your 15 times 3. 45, right? 15 times 300, you said?
Yeah.
45 and add two zeros.
So what is it?
4,500.
Is it 15 times? Oh, yeah. Sorry. You're right.
I love that we're having to,
No,
what?
no, 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 no.
You said 15,
It would be 450,000.
450 times 300.
Let's
No.
do, yeah.
15 times 300?
No, sorry. 500 times 300. If you fall 500 times a day, 300 days a year, basically that's what I'm
Right.
trying to say. You
Right.
fall 500 times a day and you do that 365 days a year, and you do that for the first 3 years of your life, that's got to be a million. Do you know how many air squats that is?
Yeah, that's a
So
lot.
that's another cornerstone for my parenting. One, just because people are always asking, like, what's the fitness plans? And it's like, okay, let them crawl and let them fall and let them stand. Don't stop them from falling, and don't run over and pick them up.
And you understand that you just described not just a physical theory, but also just a way to parent for any type of situation. Let them crawl, let them fall, let them get up, which is something that we are completely, it's so hard for parents to do, but it's
It is
so
hard.
important. It's really important. We need to let our kids crawl, fall, and stand. And so whether it's for physical activity, or sometimes I just sometimes watch and I'm like, I couldn't even do it. That one picture that you had with which one got on the Avi got on the fence?
Recently? Oh, yeah. When he climbed
Okay,
up on the fence at the baseball diamond. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, oh my goodness, I am going to lose my marbles here. I'm
Yeah,
like,
his soccer coach hated that. His soccer coach lectured me when I was done. I just
I
took it.
didn't hate it. I was just like, oh my God. Okay. So, and that happens, right? And but whether it's something like that or whether it's like letting our kids go and do something that they're not comfortable with, and then they fall and then they get back up, right? Like,
Yep.
we can't do everything for them. Otherwise they don't learn themselves. Kids are so spoiled nowadays. They're so spoiled, and they need to learn they need to learn without everything being handed to them.
500 falls times 365 is 182,500 times you have to stand up every year.
Yeah.
That is world-class fitness.
You can make a song out of that too, like with Rent. Like, you know.
That, by the way, so the fence thing, I wouldn't recommend most parents do that either. But since my boys have been hanging from rings and pulling on rings that we have in the living room since they've been 9 months old, I have such faith in their grip strength.
Totally. But you're absolutely right though. And you're right about the foundation for what you've taught them. The foundation of letting them fall. It's hard to do. And you got to use some sense, right? Like there's like a
Top
whole
of a flight of stairs. I don't do that. I don't do that. Like if I even now when my kids are 5 and 3, if we're going downstairs or upstairs, I'm always behind them and I'm always on alert to catch them. And although they've never fallen, I'm not letting that's my job. No,
Well,
no
that's the
more.
thing. You're always there. You're
Yeah,
always there. You're
yeah,
checked in and you're
yeah.
there.
I'm not
So
like, oh, so cavalier that you just go up a flight of stairs by yourself. And I'm not texting or on my phone. I'm maybe making an Instagram video.
yeah, but you're there. You're totally
Yes.
there. So I love it.
What vitamins? So since the COVID thing started, I've made sure I take my fish oil every day. I take my vitamin C every day, and I take a little vitamin D. I never used to take vitamin D before the COVID, and that's it. And my kids, I give fish oil every day.
Oh, good. It's so. I'll
Is
tell you
that
what
cool?
it is.
Should I be supplementing with something else? Do you believe in vitamins?
No, I don't.
Oh.
I believe in eating real foods. Like
Okay.
you should be able to get it with real foods. And what I'm going to talk about kids because that's what I do. Is fish oils are actually the only thing I recommend is because they just don't get it. But everything else, they should get real foods. And people always ask me, like, what foods should they get? Just get real foods. If you get, and it's pretty impressive. If you get rid of the junk food. By the way, the other day, I totally lied, and I told this kid that because of the supply chain issues with COVID, that they stopped making all the crackers and the granola bars because there's been issues with the supply chain. And I almost wanted to tell the kid, and I'm like, Mom, you're welcome. I almost wanted to tell the kid that Disneyland isn't never going to open either. But I was like, I can't believe I just lied to this kid. But I'm like, yeah, you know what? They don't make crackers and granola bars anymore. There's a supply chain issue. So if you get rid of the granola bars, the goldfish, all of the processed foods, your kid will eat enough real foods. Just give them some vegetables, give them some protein and healthy fats, give them avocado, eggs, meat. They'll have enough of everything they need. Mix up the colors.
Why do parents give their kids sugar?
Because it's easy and it's normal. I think one of the biggest reasons why is we've normalized it, where people just do what everybody else is doing. Like it's kind of like the COVID hysteria. We're just one thing after the next. We're just doing what other people are doing, and we're not really thinking for ourselves, right?
It's really not cool, right? I mean, giving your kid sugar is really not cool, right? I mean,
no, it's not cool at all. But I don't think it's because
like you're hurting your kid.
You're 100% hurting your kid. It's 100% hurting your kid. Giving them sugar is hurting them. Absolutely. And they're not meant to eat or have that and drink. I said eat, but they're not meant to drink that much sugar. And ever. The amount of sugar that kids get nowadays is the amount, like in one day, that a kid would have gotten in 5 years.
Oh my God. How long are you talking? Like 100 years ago?
Right. No, even less than that. Like 80 years ago. But if you look at it, so even the organizations that have been a little bit not so conservative. They've been moderate because they want to please parents. They don't want to be too strict. They even say no more than 25 grams of sugar per day, right? Of 25 grams of added sugar per day. That's more in than in one juice, Gatorade, all of that. And so parents, I mean, let's just stop with the drinks. How's that? You don't need to drink anything with sugar. Water, milk if you want.
My
That's it.
my kids only drink water and whole milk, and they don't even drink that much whole milk.
Yeah, they just drink water. And you know, I actually think the reason why parents are giving them, I mean, the juice, the Gatorade, just a little bit of lemonade. I'm like, a little bit of lemonade, you don't need that.
No,
So
what
all of
for?
that, I
Who is
don't
that
think,
for?
yeah, I don't think they give it because they're like, it's not like they're giving, it's like they're giving their kids cocaine, but it's not like they're giving their kids cocaine because they're not intentionally being evil. They don't know any better. And that's,
All the bad kids I know eat sugar.
yeah,
All the bad kids I know. And by sugar I mean like a bagel. Like I'll be somewhere with a
right.
family and we have our kids and our kids we all show up together somewhere and all of a sudden their kids are eating like Doritos or bagels or ice
And then they're
cream.
behaving poorly.
Holy shit.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
I get,
so obvious to me. My kids, if I give them ice cream like at a birthday party, the next 2 hours I have to have them outside. I'll kill somebody. They cannot be in the house.
well, same thing for us too, right? Like you can feel it. If you ever took the time to actually go, that's my body's response right now, drink a thing of orange juice and see what your body feels like. Feels
Right.
awful. You just never recognized it, right? And so
Right.
so even if we went and met the medical guidelines, people aren't meeting it. One Snapple has like 60 plus grams of added sugar in it. It's horrible. It's horrible. So I think the real problem is that we need to get the word out. We need to get the word out to people that no, a little bit is not a little bit. It's no longer a little bit. It may be a little bit compared to what you did 2 days ago, or it may be a little bit compared to your neighbors or your friends. But just because everybody's doing it doesn't make it healthy or safe. And we're seeing what's happening
When parents bring their kids in to see you, do the fathers ever hit on you?
all the time. I mean, it's hard not to.
No, seriously, do they?
Never, ever,
But
ever.
would you know?
Yeah. No, I don't because nobody ever does. Because I
Yeah, I'm
have
not buying that. I'm not buying that.
I also have on scrubs. I don't have a bit of makeup. You even commented, you're like, why is your hair back? I'm like, because I'm being a doctor right now. I'm
It's never happened.
no, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure no. Because you know what? I'm actually being sincere. I think that that's such a special relationship. Like, I love my parents. I love my moms and dads. And we just, I mean, we're in for the long haul, right? And we're in it for so long that if it's a real special relationship too.
But
You know?
dudes are dudes.
Yeah, but
And
there's
you're
nothing more
pretty and you're smart and you have money. And I would just think that like,
there's nothing more important than your kids. You know what
right,
I
you
mean?
just went through a divorce. Now you're over there with Dr. Shakha and your kid. You're looking for a new mom for your kid.
I love you, Seth. But no, and listen, I love that people are so good to me because
Mhm.
they know that I'll give anything for their kids. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm lucky because and they know there's who do you love more than the people that love your children, right? It's like
Oh man, someone could just say one nice thing. There's actual people that I have not liked my whole life that have been involved in my life for 40 years. And they said one nice thing about my kids. And I'm like, I fucking love this person.
right?
Oh, it's
And
just
I
transformational. If you want to blow someone, just love on their kids.
right, but and I like
Yep.
they don't always have to like me, but we do love each other because it's a long
Your
term.
client, you're talking about your clients.
My clients, yeah,
Yeah.
and like I'll even say things too, like so you know that I'm always talking about how in what ways we can get rid of the sugar, right? What ways can we have our kids eat properly, eat healthy, but then even other things like I've had, I've had dads that, I've walked in the room the first visit. I'm like, yeah, you're smoking and you got to stop the smoking. And they'll look at me like, really? Why? I'm like,
You
you're going to
smell it
kill
on them. You smell it on them.
yeah. And I'm proud to say that the next time they come in, they don't smell like smoke, and they'll say, I thought it was really cool that you cared to say something. I'm like, well, I think it's really cool that you stopped because it is really important. So now if I can get that message to the sugar, I think that would be amazing. The problem with the sugar is our culture and our society is just coming around to recognizing that. I mean, like you mentioned with the media with COVID, we're sitting around talking about masks and hand sanitizers, but we're not, but we've put people inside their house so they can't do anything but sit inside their house and eat, I guess. It's just awful.
There's this fucking pseudo kindness, politeness, niceness that really is just codependency and absolving people of personal responsibility.
Yeah.
And I'm so fucking sick and tired of it and being vilified for trying to actually help people when the people, and you're being vilified by the people who are actually hurting them with their bullshit kindness. And I give you an example. You just gave one. The guy came in and he's a parent and he obviously wants advice from his doctor and he doesn't see where it's coming from and he gets it. Quit fucking smoking. Well, yesterday, out of nowhere, a young lady I haven't talked to since 2018, she was a guest on the podcast and she had lost like 80 pounds and she'd cured herself of Crohn's disease or lupus or some crazy shit she cured herself of from doing CrossFit and eating right? And she texted me yesterday and said, hey, I've put on 80 pounds.
Oh.
And I said, hey, man, I just texted her back. You better fucking stop eating. You better fast for 36 hours, just water, stop eating sugar, and start exercising. This COVID thing is just creeping on people like you.
Yeah.
And we went back and forth for about, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours texting. And finally she said, hey, thanks for fucking kicking me in the ass. And it's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Now is not the time to put on kid gloves and be like, it's inappropriate, blah, 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 to talk about. No, that's not like, what are you talking about? I'm not comfortable telling her that. I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not doing it because it's not doing anything for me.
No.
I don't care. But it's like, it's like what you owe someone. The bus is coming. Get out of the street. I mean, you fucking owe that to your fellow man.
Right? No.
I'm going to say one more thing, pet peeve. These fucking idiots are out walking around Santa Cruz with a fucking mask on, but you're walking in the bike lane. And I go, someone's going to hit you with their car, dude. Why do people walk in the street? Okay, that was a total tangent, but.
No, I hear you. I completely hear you. And they wear the mask and then they take them off and they're eating junk. They're eating sugar. I completely agree with you. It's really hard. I think that you kind of nailed something. It's harder to care about somebody and say the truth than it is to just keep saying yes, yes, okay, sure. It's so much harder. And at the same time, it's actually so much more caring and better if you tell people the truth, right?
Right. Oh, so much better. So much better.
But it's hard to do.
And not worry about their feelings. Not be preserving your relationship over their life. Like their life is what's important.
Yeah.
Have you always, go ahead, sorry.
No, what are you gonna ask?
Have you always had perfect skin? Are there any Indian people who don't have perfect skin?
Sure. I think you're so sweet.
I had this girlfriend in college. She was Pakistani. And to me, you guys are the same. I'm probably getting in trouble for that, but
no, you
she looked like she was like a dark skinned Cindy Crawford, but her skin was like, you could ice skate on her skin. That shit was like
so soft.
Velvet. Yeah. Crazy. Crazy. And you have great skin and your sister has great skin and Deepak Chopra has great skin. I'm just like, who? Like,
I love you. Well, yeah, I think we're lucky. We have other stuff. We don't even start.
But Indian people don't have bad skin. That's like, you can just throw that in the, like, that's fair to be racist towards Indian people in Pakistan.
Totally. Yeah. I think we only have skin if we have leprosy.
I could,
if you have leprosy, then you do.
I could racial profile you guys as having good skin.
Yeah. It's okay if it's like, yeah. 100%. Like we have
great skin. It's funny because your sister's a dermatologist.
Yeah.
But she has perfect skin. It's like
she doesn't let me do anything.
What?
She does not let me do I want to be a junkie and do like lasers and things like that. I don't do Botox because I don't want to. I just kind of want to age.
Right.
But to each their own. right? If you whatever, you can do whatever you want. I don't care.
Yeah.
Um,
Although that's that there's people now there's people who've had to get facial work. I don't know if it's just me. I should actually ask my wife this when we get off the call. But I have trouble, like, I avoid them because I have trouble looking at them because, like, some chatter starts up in my brain. Like, I start, like, looking at their lips weird or their
yeah, it's
face
weird.
weird or their cheeks, and I start tripping.
It's
And so I
weird.
kind of avoid those people. I wonder if a lot of people avoid them. They kind of look like the Joker from
Yeah, yeah, it's weird.
Batman. Is it the Joker? No. What's the one? It's the Joker, the one with the big smile.
Yeah, it's a Joker.
Yeah.
I forgot what his girlfriend's name is, but I love her because Margot Robbie plays her. Remember?
No.
Oh, she's rad.
In that movie, the Joker,
Well, no,
he has a girlfriend.
in
Oh,
in
in real life.
Suicide Squad.
Oh. God, I forget that movie.
I want to go back to chronic disease. I want to go back to COVID.
Okay.
Because COVID, I could talk about all day right now
Okay.
because it's. And
People need to hear other stuff too, though, like about people hitting on you and shit.
Yeah, no, because you keep
Has to be
asking the
sprinkled
question,
in.
and it's like, I understand, but you're thinking scientifically, you're thinking rationally. When this entire COVID from, oh my goodness, 1.5 million people are going to die, so we have to all lock down, to not locking down or being more careful with old people to.
Or how about fuck you? Don't close my beach. Make chocolate illegal. Like, you want to do some draconian shit? How about you let me move my body around, but you make it illegal to eat certain shit? How about we just go around and anyone drinking a fucking Coke goes to jail? I'm serious.
Because the reason behind that is there's too many politics. There's too much politics. And as physicians,
I think
we're
it's more
so.
effective to save lives. I think it's more effective to save lives.
But the beauty of this, I think, is that it's kind of exposed to even a lot of doctors as to the non-science and the nonsense. So that as a physician, I have to question what's being presented to me. And for so many years and so many doctors, they just get spoon-fed things like low fat, right? The whole low fat and this whole explosion of the sugar industry was just spoon-fed to us. And now the COVID has even the people that were the biggest followers and the most trusting are now asking, what's going on with the WHO? What's going on with the CDC? Why are they recommending these things? And so that's actually something that's come out of this, as to remind a lot of physicians, when they went to medical school, would question things. You know, we were actually smart and head of the class, and then we kind of just turn into robots. And so it's so important for us to question everything that comes our way. And with COVID, it's so clear. I mean, again, we're in the exit plan right now. We're in the exit strategy. And most people are waiting around for their politicians to tell them what to open and how to open it. But there's no science in that, right?
There's no what in that?
There's no science. There's no science as to why a daycare is open and golfing is open in California, as opposed to why a gym isn't open. And
what do you make of that? So you're saying the entire exit strategy is just money driven, politics, constituency, getting votes? It's just, has nothing to do with saving lives? Or
I think each region or each city or wherever you are in the world
has its own bias.
Yeah, and I think that there's some places that they're actually working hard to do it well. I mean, in San Diego, I've become quite pleased with our city, with their, despite the fact, even about a week ago, when our California announced that they were going to, initially for about a hot second, they said they were going to close all the beaches again, and our city was not going to, because like going to the beach is not causing disease. So I loved the closing the ocean part, was a complete illustration example of the stupidity of everything. So why in the world you would close an ocean? It seems like a basic right to be able to go out in the ocean. And people that go in the ocean, it's not a social event, A, and B, you're not getting disease in the ocean. So it was such a great example of how non-science so much of this is.
How long does COVID live in salt water?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. Okay.
I kind of made a joke on, like, make sure you don't poop when you go surfing, because You don't want that poop to go into the bazillion gallons of water, come on shore and have somebody running by. It's just idiotic. That whole thing is idiotic. So open the oceans. Luckily we have our
Beaches are
mayor,
closed in Santa Cruz. I went yesterday. You can't
they're
go down to
closed.
the beach. Yeah, there's a big sign that's bolted in like it's going to be there forever that says no pedestrians on the beach.
That's ridiculous.
Fucking ridiculous.
And reactive too. And so I am quite pleased with so I don't want to throw everybody under the bus, because I'm pleased with San Diego. I've actually been completely impressed with the work they're doing and how they're moving towards this exit plan. But overall, the exit plans make no sense. Just think about it. Take 2 seconds and think about, for everybody listening, what's opening and what's not, and why. Are we going with a hygiene theory that the things that are more clean are opening first? Are we going for a more essential, the things that are needed are going first? No, we're just kind of.
What if we didn't let the things open where the obese people hung out? I know that sounds horrible, but think about it. If the number one underlying condition in the world is obesity, and when I mean number one, I'm talking like 50%. And then the rest of them are like diabetes, hypertension. How the fuck is Costco open? That place is just that place. The two Costcos I've been to in my life, Vallejo Costco and Richmond Costco. It looks like there's a rule that you have to be 70 pounds overweight to get in there. And then everything's covered in plastic. So I'm guessing the COVID just loves hanging out in there, in the crevices and cracks of all the plastic.
Well,
those people are susceptible to dying.
Yeah, I think that the Costco's and I understand. I would much rather have had this quarantine with grocery stores and places open, right?
Right.
I'm not saying that we should have closed any of them, because I'm not saying we should have closed anything. Right. Having said that,
would you say that? Do you think the quarantine is complete nonsense?
Yeah, I think that the science is not behind the quarantine.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. I don't think we should have closed anything. I totally agree with you.
No, I don't think.
And maybe nursing homes. Well, yeah. There's a lot of deaths there, man. Right.
I'm not saying that I don't care about the deaths.
Uh-huh.
What I'm saying is.
Oh, no, of course not. It's tragic.
No, every doctor cares about every death. But does that mean that we should have closed down the world because of it? I don't see any science behind that. And so what we should have done is what you said, which is be very mindful and careful around those at risk, right? So that's where I go into stop the sugar, but also wash your hands. Both.
Yeah, I don't want to. Grandma doesn't come over when all three kids have snot pouring out of their nose.
100%. So if you're sick, you stay home. If you're high risk, we have to be careful around you. So the mask thing, do you need to wear a mask when you're surfing? No. Do you need to wear a mask in your car by yourself? No, that's ridiculous. But would you consider wearing a mask when you go visit? So like my parents are old and my dad has every medical condition. And so I would either not visit him. I would 100% not visit him when I was sick. And so there are people who visited their parents who were 80 something years old and they didn't feel well. And they didn't know that that's what it was. And so we need to stop that. If you're sick, you stay home. If you are high risk, we need to take care of you. But the rest of the world can go out when they're healthy. I think that's
funny. My whole life, I've never worried about being sick. Never once. Yeah. I've never avoided anyone for a cold. I don't not kiss anyone. I share a toothbrush with my wife for the first 20 years. For some reason, she won't do that with me anymore. But I'm
not doing any of that.
I was barefoot once for 2 years.
And I'm the opposite of that. Like during the winter time, I'm like, don't hug me because I don't want the flu.
Right.
I don't want the flu. But having said that, so I'm somebody who never wanted the flu.
Right.
Who says that the quarantine was unnecessary. What we did is we just put a blanket around everybody and didn't actually look at who was affecting and in what way it was affecting anyone. Even now in the exit plan, no one's talking about staying home if sick, right? They're just open.
Right.
If you're sick, stay home.
Right. Right. I've never known anyone who's diagnosed with the flu.
Really?
I've claimed to have had the flu, and I've known hundreds of people who've said they've had the flu, but I've never known anyone who went to the hospital and the doctor's like, "Oh, yes, here's your test and you have the flu." I mean, you do because you're a doctor, right?
Yeah.
But I've
Yeah.
been asking people that question who aren't doctors, and no one knows anyone who is officially diagnosed with the flu.
Well, I
Isn't that
do.
interesting? Yeah.
I take care of patients every year who have the flu, and I've been a lot more afraid during flu season and RSV season, and I've had a lot more sleepless nights than I have with COVID. I'll tell you, at the beginning of COVID, you
Well,
didn't.
because the flu kills kids, right?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
flu
that
kills kids,
sucks.
and people just they don't really care. People don't care, and it's not. I'm not saying that they're evil, but how many people do you know that have gone to every holiday party and then they give you a hug and then they say, "Oh, I have the flu." I'm like,
How about the parents who let their kids? The craziest part is how many kids I see running around with snot pouring out of their nose.
right,
Like,
at
what
all
are you
times,
doing?
and
Wipe
then
your kid. Wipe your kid. Wipe your
and,
kid.
and then the news media is saying kids don't get COVID. My kids get everything.
Right,
Kids get
right.
everything. They touch everything. They put everything in their nose.
Is it? I'll finish on something strong. Ready?
Yes.
Is it okay thinking like part of me? I want my kids to get COVID. I want to get COVID. I'm 48 and I want to hurry up and get it because I don't want to get it when I'm 70 because I'll be scared then. And I want my kids to get it because I want them to start building the antibodies now. I want my kids like,
Yeah. So,
am I thinking wrong? I mean,
well,
don't get me wrong. I don't want to come to your hospital and like, I don't want you like to give them give me the suppository COVID. I don't want it that bad, but like, I'm not afraid. If my mom had it, I wouldn't avoid my mom.
no, you're talking about a chickenpox party, right?
Yeah.
So,
Which I did do, by the way, as a kid. I did do the chickenpox party as a kid.
okay, so this is different. So it's not wrong to think, and I've actually been asked this by a lot of people, right? So if
No, you haven't. I'm the first. What are you talking
okay,
about?
yes, you're always the first. It's okay for you to feel like, and here's the reason why it's okay for you and your kids. There's a 99.999% chance that you're going to be fine. Am I afraid that I'm going to die of the flu? Excuse me, of COVID. I'm not. I'm not going to die of COVID, and neither are you. Okay, and neither are your kids. So a lot of people have been asking, like, God, they're just, and it gets down to a really big problem is that our country is paralyzed by fear. We're paralyzed by fear to the point that people are like, just get it over with. Just get the thing over with. And that's why people want the antibody test, because they want to know that they've already been done with it.
Yes.
And it's not,
Yes.
people don't want the antibody test so they can go lick every wall. They want it because
Right.
of the paralysis of fear.
You're
And
exactly right.
people are living in so much fear. So is that okay for you to say, can I just get it and be done with it? Yeah, I get that. I do. And it's not, I don't think it's negligent for you, a completely healthy 40-something-year-old, to say, I don't care if I get it. The problem isn't that. The problem is that if you have, and so yeah, go for it, right? But then you have to be responsible. And that's why I like Charles Barkley, is because
Right.
always smart. So if you then go and visit your 80 something, if I then go and I go to work as a
Right.
physician, so I know physicians who've said, you know what, I'm just going to get it, and I'm willing to get it. Well, yeah, you kind of can be willing to get it, but then you have to be responsible when you do
Right.
get it, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I can't go visit my parents, and it's not responsible for me to go out everywhere. So get it, but then once you get it, please be responsible and don't go visit a nursing home.
Right. Right. Matter of fact, that's when you quarantine yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, if you're sick or if you're high risk. So, and by the way, the nursing homes, that's where we need the hygiene and the masks, is the nursing home, not at the healthy. If you go to the box healthy and you were healthy and you know you're healthy and you haven't been around anybody sick, you don't need to worry about the stuff. You need to worry when you're either going to Costco and exposing everybody at risk, or there's somebody with 102 fever next to you. That's when you need to. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Or the kid with, like, I read a story recently, a kid in Indonesia died of the COVID. And then I dug into the story a little more, and the kid was almost dead from dengue fever. And it's like,
You know what
yeah.
the worst part is about this? Is you like make me laugh, and I have to remember that we're talking about like a kid that passed away, and I'm still a doctor, and so I can't laugh out loud at the
Right.
ridiculousness of it.
Right.
I
Sorry.
mean,
I'll
no,
try to
but
be more courteous.
no, but it's, and we're swabbing. Sevan, can you please be more
Yes. Yes.
sensitive?
Yes.
Um,
It's just negligent on the media's part to be recording something as a COVID death for a child, scaring the shit out of parents all around the world. And then I dig into it, and the kid was fucking malnourished and had dengue fever. And it's like,
Yeah.
dude, I
Right.
mean,
Though you had a couple in India with cancer. There
something
was
like that too. Yeah.
three people
Oh
with
yeah,
cancer.
terminally ill. Yes, yesterday, 5 people died in some village in India or Bihar. Is that Bihar, India? Yeah,
Yes,
Bihar,
and they
and
had.
they were all terminally ill.
Okay, and I know you said you wanted to end, but I have to tell you something.
Yeah, I have to pee so bad. I'm gonna pop.
But I was, I've been walking, and they did close our trails, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
they closed our trails, and I can't wait for them to open them. But I was walking on the street, and I almost stepped on a rattlesnake. On the rattle. Can you
That would have
imagine?
been a COVID death. COVID death.
Dude, I mean, you should be celebrating me right now as a either a doctor or a delivery man. I'm one of them that should be celebrated. And instead, I would have died from a rattlesnake bite.
Did it waggle at you?
No, so my sister and I were walking, and she goes, "Stop and move." And I was actually really proud of her, because instead of just screaming, she said, "Stop and move." And then she like literally pulled me towards her, and I jumped, and I don't know why I actually listened. And then I looked down, and it was the rattle. It wasn't, and then the snake was up and was
You should have taken a picture and texted me. That would have been the
totally
right thing
wanted to, and then I realized I was going to die by selfie, and instead I needed to
Oh, God,
backtrack.
my selfie.
Right? Can you imagine if I was taking a video or a picture of a rattlesnake about to bite me? No, thank you. So Sevan, you nailed it. I think it's really important for health to be, just stop the sugar.
Tell me how great I am.
Stop, you're amazing. Well, your truth. You're always, from the start, you've been texting me every single day articles about chronic disease and COVID, chronic disease, sugar, all of that. And so I think that it's a really important point. I think that, God, I love that you brought it down to Charles Barkley, who I've always just thought he was awesome, to say, just be responsible. Be responsible.
He was on CNN. They were trying to get him to play the race thing, like, hey, there's symptomatic racism and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, hey, man, and I'm paraphrasing. He said, now, I agree with all that. Now's not the time. The time now is just to give people basically the tools to heal themselves. And I want to tell you what I'm doing. I ride an exercise bike, and I only drink on the weekends. And he gave this list of shit. And I was like, yeah, you say it, Charles.
Yeah.
It's important to try to save people's lives.
Instead of so it's time for everybody to get out from under the bed and know that we're now not in the hospitals are way prepared. We're so prepared that doctors don't have enough work.
Speaking of getting out underneath the bed, is it weird when you have had like a client for like 5 years and they always come in together, and then all of a sudden they come in and they got their new mate? You know what I mean? Like, you knew the husband and wife and their 2 kids, and they always come to visit. And then all of a sudden the husband comes in and he's got like this 18-year-old new wife. And you're like, what the fuck?
I was wondering where you were going to go with the whole bed. I didn't know where you were going to go. Yeah, totally.
You started hating on him.
No. It's good. It's fine. It's totally, see.
You look right at the 18-year-old new trophy wife and you're like, have you had her tested for venereal diseases? Just blast him.
You've been in with me like that. How did you know that? That's exactly how I approach it. 100%.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for just exposing the truth,
We'll talk. How about I call you back like in a month and we'll talk about how the exit strategy is going.
If we're not out by then, I don't even want to talk. There better be nothing to talk about. We got to get out. I'm thinking May is the time that people who want to go baby steps, who want to go full out, it's May. June.
I'm ready to come out. I've been ready to come out for years.
And June, we better be doing it.
Yeah.
Like I don't have time for this stuff in June.
Dude, can you imagine all like, there's good shit and bad shit happening with people at home. I don't even want to get into it.
That's political, because it's good. If I hear one more rich person tell me how wonderful it is in quarantine and how the life lessons, sorry, that was totally not inappropriate. That was totally inappropriate, right? Like, it's life lessons of being in quarantine, of realizing how you can connect with your family while you have money, is totally different than what quarantine is doing to the rest of the world.
You're going to make me say it. The 2 metrics to look at are how many tens of thousands of 80-year-olds are we willing to let die versus how many kids we're allowing to be molested at home? Let's put that on the fucking scale. You want to protect all these 80-year-old people who are 2 years away from their own death anyway from COVID? Well, how many kids have to be molested for you to be okay with that at home?
I did not
Uncle
even realize
Buck
it was going there.
doing horrible shit to them because they're stuck at home in quarantine with them. You know that shit's happening.
If I could have bet on what you were going to say next,
I'm
and
saying no kids. I'd rather say that again. Sorry.
I know I wouldn't have made it if you said I'd give you $1,000 if you know what I'm going to say next. That never would have crossed my.
There's no amount. I mean, I'm so biased. I have 3 kids. I don't want any bad shit happening to kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm willing, if I was 80 years old and I had grandkids, I'd rather fucking die than let my grandkids be molested.
Bad stuff is happening to kids. Kids are
not horrible.
They're not meant to be in quarantine.
No, from them not going to school, to them drinking too many cans of Coke at home, to them learning how to smoke their parents' weed, to them
they're hurting themselves.
Uncle Buck. There's that whole spectrum.
I'm getting so many injuries. Okay, I know you have to go pee.
Yes, that's true. Mind your own business.
Didn't you say that?
Yeah, I know, but it's for me to say.
Make sure.
All right.
Let's connect in a month let's talk about something other than COVID because
no.
Come on. We can talk about how, I don't know. Never mind. We'll talk about other things, but
we can talk about my ex that looked like a Pakistani Cindy Crawford.
Yes. But I just hope that the people listening know that it's time. It's time to think. It's actually time to think. It's time to be responsible, but it's time to think.
Be responsible.
Yeah.
Take care of your personal responsibility. Yes.
Like, think for yourself. Like, don't wait for someone else to tell you how to move forward.
Peace.